Welcome, Solara here. I hope you guys are doing well. I know it's been a moment since I've been on here, and I thank you for your patience with me. I was telling those of you who were checking out my full moon in Taurus Tarotstrology Ascension report last week. It seems so much longer than that. I had to remember what full moon we're coming out of, but you know, it was just last week. Those of you who joined me over there on SOLARAH'S, you know that I was sharing with you that I've been battling through a period of burnout following the fuckery that I've had to endure because of it was a very targeted attempt against my creativity and my ability to monetize my creativity on Substack and by way of Stripe. And I'm not going to get into the details of it now. If you've been with me since August when it occurred, you know the story already. But suffice to say that it took a lot out of me, as it was meant to. But at the same time, it also helped me to become more focused in directing my energy towards that which appreciates me and that which I needed to be directing my energy towards. I don't need to put my life force and my creativity onto social media platforms that have not only do they have no desire to see me rise and thrive, but they also have a vested interest in trying to tear me down. And I won't get into the details, but those of you who know the nature of gang stalking and how it occurs, all of the things that have happened to me, I will say publicly, all the things that happened to me on Substack, courtesy of Stripe, have had all the hallmarks of a very targeted attempt to fuck with me, to put it lightly. But you know, out of that, I have birthed a new platform, and I invite you to join me over there. There are different membership tiers, as well as access to free resources, also including my daily alchemy message, which will soon be on that site exclusively. So if you've been enjoying that on the community board as of 2025, if you want all those messages on the daily, you can have them directly sent to you in your inbox just by signing up. It's a free service, and I'd love to have you there. So join me over on solarah.xyz. I will put all the information in the description box below. Also, for those of you who were asking, my Stripe was connected to my Ko-Fi, so they took all my earnings from the month of August, both from Substack and from Ko-Fi. And so as such, I have started a whole new Ko-Fi shop. So it's ko-fi.com/solarahspeaks. I will put the link below. So all of my decrees are once again available to you guys, and one new one is in there too, and also some older light language activations that I also added. All of those resources are for free, or by suggested donation, whatever you feel you want to donate. I appreciate, and if you can't, that's fine. Those resources are there for you for free. Okay, so I thank you to all of you who have stuck by me at this time. I thank you to those of you who've continued to make donations. It's meant more than you know, because I haven't been able to properly work because of the craziness I am on the spectrum. I do have autism, as well as what they call ADHD, if you want to get into diagnoses or whatever. But it did push me into a period of burnout that was obviously needed for other purposes. I needed to learn, and I needed to see, and I needed to stop putting my energy in the wrong places and with the wrong people. So I'm grateful for the experience, and I'm grateful for all of you who stuck by me and supported me and continue to do so. Thank you to those of you. So many of you have come over since my video on SOLARAH'S to join me over on solarah.xyz, and it means the world to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My vision over there is to create an online community space that is not just about me, but it's also going to be about lifting up those of you who also are creators in your own right and, need a public space online to be seen and appreciated in real time without the fuckery of these other platforms. And also just, for you to have a safe space to begin. A lot of the times, we hesitate because we don't want to put ourselves out on these big platforms because of, the shit that I experienced on Substack. And so for those of you who are looking for a more gentle introduction, I hope to be able to offer that safe space for you online too. I will also be resuming my groups in December because I'm feeling better again, and I've been missing you guys. And what else? I think that's it. So without further ado, I am sharing with you a piece that I resurrected and actually was made available today for those who are members over on solarah.xyz. It's a free piece, so it's available to everyone, but I thought I'd come here and I would do it for the YouTube group also because it's such a prevalent piece for this time of year. I know that many of you are dealing, this time of year can be difficult, whether you are actively engaging in, family gatherings, or whether you are choosing to abstain from that. You've removed yourself. Either way, it can be a difficult and challenging season to navigate through mentally and emotionally. And so I wrote this piece last year in the beginning of December, and it actually, it holds a special place in my heart because it helped me to work through a lot of my stuff, and it also was one of the most circulated of my pieces on Substack. And so without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and read. So thank you. This piece is titled Families That Pray Together: The Predatory Nature of Family Abuse and Those That Are Chosen as Scapegoats. Abusers want you stuck cycling through different variations and presentations of the same narrative, and they work to use smokescreens and mirrors to perpetuate the illusions they need you binded and blinded to. They need you to go through these cycles believing that an automated apology, a strategic act of generosity for damage control, or a calculated change in scenery here and there are emblematic of repentance and accountability for their abuse. The more you buy their act, the further you get drawn into their web. Each trip farther into the cycle has them stripping you of everything that they deem gives you access to your own power. They scavenge upon your confidence, motivation, creativity, dreams, and magnetism. The glowing light of your soul is their sustenance. They use charm and kindness as weapons to serve their purpose of luring you deeper into invisible traps unassumingly. Once you're sufficiently caught and bound, the performative acts of generosity lessen or cease altogether. You start to equate basic human acts of kindness and respect as luxuries and gifts because the abuser has expertly conditioned you to expect less than you deserve. Their goal is to have you so mentally, emotionally, and physically imbalanced and despondent that you become dependent upon them for your very survival. Their ultimate objective is to strip you of your worth so they can wear it as a garment and then mock and shame you for having given them the position to play God over you. It took me almost 30 years to begin to wake up to the carefully constructed minefield that family abuse had me trapped in. It took another decade to unravel the webs of lies and fuckery that they had me stupefied by and caught in. Stupefaction is an integral part of keeping a victim captive to family abuse systems. It is hard to escape a dynamic in which you've been programmed to believe is normal behavior and that your problem with it is the only problem. It's hard to get up and move forward when you've been bled dry of all the resources you need to live and thrive straight out of the womb. At its core, abuse is all about the stealth of another's power and the personal resources they need to look after themselves. These resources can be material, mental, emotional, or spiritual. Abusers enact this through tactics of control that are designed to give them a false sense of power and confidence. They do this to people who are vulnerable or under their authority. The supposed power and confidence they extract from exchanges with their victims is oftentimes accomplished by way of shaming rituals. Whole family energy systems are kept toxically afloat through the ritualized shaming of certain members. We call it scapegoating in modern speak, and it serves a very real energetic purpose. Please note that a ritual is anything practiced repetitively. Repetition of an act infuses it with more energy and power. This is why the ritualized shaming of an individual by a group can literally strip them of all sense of worth, value, and the power they need to move forward in life autonomously. That power is stripped from the victim and transferred to the ones enacting the shaming ritual, the abusers, in this case, the family members. Families and groups that engage in these types of power wars are energy cannibals, consuming one of their own in order to maintain a false sense of power for themselves and the group that often feeds an appearance they need to uphold before the world and themselves. The scapegoat is the sacrifice for their vanity and vainglory. Those who are cannibalized by the very ones who claim to love them often descend into addiction and all manner and forms of instability, dependency, and dysfunction. Your family is your introduction to what love is. Your formative dynamic with them forms the foundation for how you establish your sense of worth and value in the world. They are supposed to reflect back to you your beauty and divine truth. Our childhood family experiences set the tone for our future relational practices, both with ourselves and with others. As such, it's not rocket science to see how victims of family abuse become highly susceptible to self-destructive behaviors, patterns, and relationships. Family abuse is a prime gateway drug. It leads to grander levels of dysfunction while flying invisibly under the radar for the violence and treachery it can incite and is the originator of. The invisibility and non-accountability factor is further bolstered by the family members so ensconced in the abusive structures and traditions that they support and uphold the abuse as if it is the norm. The victim's symptoms and reactions to the family trauma then becomes the problem as opposed to the abuse itself. This keeps the scapegoat pathology alive. The problem is never the abuser or the family system that tolerates, condones, and sometimes even celebrates their behavior. No, the problem is the one who begins to express and manifest symptoms of the abuse and dysfunction. How dare they not sit in silence and suffer? How dare they be so loud and obvious in their pain? How dare they show the family up by their inability to suck it up and handle the mistreatment? How dare they be a mirror reflecting back to all within the group their pure lack of humanity? How dare they expose the true and dark nature of the family system and therefore the natures of the ones adhering to and upholding the farce? How dare they expose the family sins? How dare they? Understand and overstand this. Abuse is energetic in nature. It seeks to victimize a person or group of people by stealing the energetic resources they need to survive, thus putting them in energetic debt, making the abused indebted to and dependent upon the very ones abusing them for their survival. This is because the victim's personal resources, the mental, emotional, and material supply they need to survive, has been usurped by the abuser and is now under their wrongful control. This is why people who have often endured such abusive experiences seek out their abusers for how they should think, feel, and live. They don't know how to make decisions for themselves because they've been purposely groomed not to. In family abuse, this can be especially dangerous because not only are victims stripped of procuring any sense of independence as they get older, they are sometimes purposely kept in helpless states from childhood in order to keep them from gaining any real sense of autonomy. This perpetuates a state that has been coined in psychology as learned helplessness. This is especially prominent and effective in families that have money. Some will purposely never teach their children how to be financially independent to keep them materially stuck. This is further upheld by mental and emotional abuse that is designed to stymie and sabotage their adult child's attempts at freedom and pursuing a career independent of the family's influence. This type of abuse is often heightened and magnified once the child reaches their teens through to their early 20s. This developmental window of time is key in supporting their transition into adult independence. Many parents will double down on control and manipulation tactics designed to sabotage their own child from establishing the momentum and confidence they need to stand on their own 2 feet. It's like a bird purposely breaking the wings off of its own baby just when it's time for it to learn to fly. The goal is to strip their child of the already limited confidence and drive they have to pursue their own path, while also providing them with what they need to live and pretending it's for their own good and protection because they don't have what it takes to make it in the real world. They like to provide just enough for that adult child to be materially comfortable, but never enough for them to use the money to pursue their own actual autonomy. This is also a way to further guilt, shame, and victimize their target while covering the tracks of their abuse. It is difficult to argue that someone who is providing you with everything you need and more is abusing you, especially when it's not an intimate partner, but a family member. It is also difficult to see this abuse when you're supposedly benefiting off of it because family members have told you that you can't look after yourself in the world. What many don't get about family abuse is that it is cult-like, and the abuse is covert and employed over decades, often from the time the victim is born. The greatest prison a person can trap you in is not one with 4 walls, but the one they establish with time and care in your mind. Who better to imprison you mentally than the ones who birthed you and were supposed to help you develop your mind so that you could eventually thrive on your own? Another tactic that families like this use is to repeatedly feed their victims a narrative that nobody will ever love or support them outside of the family. This is designed to keep the person stuck and unable to move forward out of fear of failure, fear of rejection and abandonment, fear that they can't look after themselves, and fear of the world outside the bounds created for them by their family. At every turn, an abuser will do everything to strip their victim of any sense of personal authority and autonomy, and then shame them for their dependency upon them. This is designed to program and keep their victims in perpetual states of hopelessness and shame, so that they don't have the mental or emotional resolve to believe that they can leave them and make it on their own. An abuser will brazenly steal all your resources and then blame, shame, and ridicule you in your struggle. In family abuse systems, this is played out covertly, and everyone has a role to play in keeping the main scapegoat disenfranchised. They learn to do this in both conscious and unconscious ways. All dismiss it as being normal behavior and necessary because of the volatility or incapability of the one they've been abusing, or because they've created a family narrative about the scapegoat being less than them and therefore not worthy of high regard. It is amazing the stories that whole groups of people will fabricate in order to avoid facing their own inhumane choice and shadows. The one being scapegoated and cannibalized will almost always appear to be a lost cause or struggle with issues society judges as being of poor character or weak resolve. This actually couldn't be further from the truth. The scapegoat is the one in the family with the most and the best resources. They are often the strongest, the kindest, the most emotionally intelligent, intuitive, and resilient. They also tend to have retained a childlike purity and innocence in spite of all that these family members try to throw at them. This is exactly why they become a target, because they are rich in the true energy resources that people need to pursue and sustain a balanced life. Instead of learning how to cultivate the power of these resources for self, they are preyed upon by envious family members who are often so limited in their own consciousness that they can't even see or admit to their own pride and envy. Think about it. Nobody robs an empty or cashless bank. Some career burglars will spend years, decades even, figuring out ways to dismantle the security around the most warded banks and establishments that hold high-value items. Many will recruit insiders to accomplish their goal, beings who work in the bank and therefore know the insides and outs of the facility and its rhythms. Who better to rob you than the ones closest to you? Who better to cheat and fool you than the one who has your ear and attention, your heart? Many of us have been consistently robbed of our rich resources, cannibalized and stolen from blindly and continually, and it's been an inside job. Nobody is ever threatened by something or someone less powerful than them. In family systems of abuse, the child who is the most gifted becomes the target of derision and the one that is most sabotaged and scapegoated. This is because the individuals and the group recognize on a conscious or unconscious level that this child's giftedness could be their undoing. What also needs to be acknowledged is that abusive family systems are run off of the energy harvesting dynamics that the Matrix was founded upon. Beings who don't heal themselves and properly reconnect to Source are constantly searching for ways to prey and feed upon the light of other connected beings. What is more pure than the energy of a child with divine gifts? It is also worth noting that some abusers take a special pride and pleasure in dismantling the energetic stability of their gifted offspring. Some of them wear it like a badge of honor. Their ability to strip down a person who had greater light than them with their applied darkness is a mark of their false and misplaced sense of power. These cycles are breaking as we scrutinize the patterns and behaviors and bring them to light. Your true family are not those who are bound to you by blood, but by divine purpose and appointment. Ashe. Thank you so much if you made it all the way to the end of this piece. I hope for those of you who have struggled with this very, difficult form of abuse because of its deeply invisible nature, materially speaking, but you feel it on a visceral level, it makes you sick, it makes you stuck. I hope that those of you who have struggled through such dynamics, that this piece helped to shine a light on all it is that you felt, your story that continually has been denied and you've been gaslit out of time and time again, especially at this time where these stories tend to creep up again. So I thank you for listening. If you would like to have access to more of my writing, you can do so on my platform, solarah.xyz, for all appointments with me. If you would like to do a one-to-one with me, or you would like to book a Tarotstrology reading or a divine alignment reading, you can find all that information on my website, solarah.info. If you would like to join me on solarah.xyz, I'll put the information below. If you would like to donate to me, to the channel, I will put the information for all the possibilities of where you can donate below. Also, remember the Ko-Fi shop is open again for those of you who are wanting to get the decrees. There is a new one there, as well as light language activations. Yes, enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your love and for your support. I will see you again soon. Be well.